When you combine the dream come true of being a dad with the dream to be of entrepreneurship, you're presented with a world of possibilities along with a world of challenges. Join Joel Lewis as he interviews successful entrepreneur dads sharing how they made it work from the start. This is Startup Dad HQ.
Welcome to Startup Dad Headquarters, where we're exploring the intersection between fatherhood, entrepreneurship, and life. I am your host, Joel Lewis, and today, Startup Dads, backstage, I have a guest whose story will truly inspire. My guest today is Anthony Tran, founder and owner of Marketing Access Pass. Before we invite Anthony in, I'm going to do a little something different this time. I'm going to actually show you a video that Anthony created for his platform. And it's an amazing video, and I think that it will resonate with the startup dads out there. So let me bring Anthony in. Hey, Anthony, how's it doing? How's it going?
Hey, Joel, how you doing, man?
All right, all right. So like we talked about before we started broadcasting, I'm gonna pull up your YouTube video that you created. So that's about 2 minutes, or a little bit over 2 minutes long. We'll play that, and then we'll come back over, and I'll ask you to talk a little bit more about yourself and what you got going on.
All right, sounds good, man.
All right.
My name is Anthony Tran, and I'm from Orange County, California. And I'm just really a regular guy. I mean, I did everything I was supposed to growing up. I went to school, got a good job, and settled down. I have a family, wife and son, and they're great. I love them. I'll do anything for them. So, you know, it's just that's what I want. I want the best for them. So every day when I wake up, I get so excited really to start the day because I have so much things that I want to accomplish, so many things I want to share with people. So one of the things that really fascinates me about online marketing is to connect with people all around the world, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days. The internet never sleeps. And one of the first things that I realized that was I created my first blog about 5 years ago, and I saw someone that visited from India. And it just like dawned on me like, wow, here's someone all the way across the world who's reading something that I wrote just a few minutes ago, and that just was amazing. So I knew that I wanted to help a lot of people. I knew I wanted to inspire a lot of people. I knew that this was going to be the vehicle to help me do that. You know, it all really starts out with just a morning run because it really gets the juices flowing. And you know, like marketing is just like running in a way. It's like you're on a journey, and it's not a race. It's definitely a marathon. It takes time, and sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's struggling. But at the end of the day, when you finish your run, you feel this sense of accomplishment and reward, and that's kind of really how I like to start the day. Just get fired up right away. Well, I know that you have a lot of choices out there. There's a lot of different marketers. But what sets me apart is I really understand you. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a veteran. I've also worked for an employer for many years, and I've also tried to build this thing on the side at night. And I know the frustrations you're going through, and I just want to ultimately help you because I want to save you that time, the headache, the frustrations that I went through, and that way you can get the results quicker, faster, and easier than if you didn't go through the training. So if this video was helpful and this really resonates with what you're going through, then please subscribe, enter your name and email, and we'll get you started with Marketing Access Pass.
Awesome, awesome. Let me pause that. Man, I love that video, man. And there's a lot of reasons why I love that video. And like I told you at the beginning, what you mentioned towards the end there, your husband, a vet, working your 9 to 5. We both have been operations managers. I'm still an operations manager now, and working at night to build this, to build your dreams, to build this marketing access pass to help individuals. Instead of going through everything that you had to go through, you're able to kind of help them, take that step faster, I guess, if that's the right word. And I really love that, and that's really why I'm building Startup Dad, is to try to help dads, take that leap, start their journey with having to go through all the bumps and bruises that we had to go through. And what you're building is awesome. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, Anthony?
Yeah, thanks for sharing that video. I mean, I definitely wanted people to understand that, hey, I, just like you, who are watching this video, who are listening to this podcast, I just, I was working this, actually I worked more than 9 to 5. I worked more of like a 12, 13, 14-hour shift, and I was working like 6 days a week. Nights, weekends, holidays, they were throwing me crazy shifts. Sometimes I would work a night shift between like 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. And then the next day they say, hey, we're going to need you to come in at, 8 or 9 o'clock and then work another shift. And it was just crazy. I was juggling this really tough schedule. And I was really, I guess, stuck, because here I had a great job. I was working as an operations manager. I was getting a pretty decent salary. I was paying the bills, providing the mortgage and the benefits for the family. But I was stuck because I couldn't spend time with my family. Mm-hmm. The story behind that was, when I was working this really night shift position, I would only get to spend about 15 minutes a day to see my wife and son, because I could only drive, during the day they would be at work, because my wife works a normal, son going to school, so the only time I got to see them was during my lunch break. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I think at 7:30, and I would drive home for 15 minutes. By the time I get home, my wife would have some dinner on the table, and I get to maybe spend 15, 20 minutes with them to eat and kind of see how their day was going, and then I was, boom, right back after work. And then the next day I was doing the same thing. So this happened for months, and I just, it was putting a toll on the family, because my wife's like, hey, I married this guy and I never get to see him, and then my son's like, hey, I never get to see my dad, and he never gets to hang out with me. So I knew that I needed to figure out a way to escape the situation that I was in.
Yeah.
And I wanted to create an online business, and I was essentially trying to figure it out on my own. There was a lot of things that I did wrong along the way. One of it was trying to figure out how to do it by myself. There's actually a lot of resources out there, and coaches and people that can help you. But I didn't know that at the time. I just didn't know who to go to. I didn't know what resources to find. Mm-hmm. And so my mission was to essentially create Marketing Access Pass as a platform to teach people how to create online businesses, so they can escape their corporate jobs, and then they can leave and they can work from home, and have the freedom lifestyle that they've always wanted and dreamed of. So yeah, so that's kind of the backstory of Marketing Access Pass.
Nice. Now, you talked about online businesses. Now someone who has a brick and mortar business, right? That they're still the training that you're providing is still very useful for them as well, right? Because in this day and age, even if you have a physical business, you need to have an online presence, right?
Yes. That's the good thing about everything that I'm sharing, is it's all universal. The internet is so prevalent in everything that we do these days. Whether you have a small business, if let's say you have a dentistry office, if you're a real estate agent, if you have a yogurt shop, if anything, even corporate businesses, big companies, mm-hmm. everybody needs to have an online presence, because that's just the way we communicate these days. Mm-hmm. We all have smartphones with access to the internet, and everybody can access Wi-Fi on laptops and computers, and everywhere you go, people are tuned in to the internet. So in order to communicate effectively, in order to share your business and your brand, you have to have an online presence. And everything that I do share is applicable to small business owners, brick and mortar businesses. But one of the things I try to inspire people to do is, you don't have to have a traditional brick and mortar business if you don't want to. You could have something where it's a little bit more mobile friendly, and that they have the flexibility to work from home, like I do, and like some of the other entrepreneurs that you probably had on the show. So essentially, that's kind of where I share the information.
Awesome. So Anthony, as you know, this is Startup Dad Headquarters. So we're all about the family. We're all about the family, and of course, showcasing amazing startup dads like yourself. I was recently inspired by a quote which goes, "No other success can compensate for failure in the home." And I felt that it would be a perfect segue into the first segment of our show, which I like to call Family First. Now, I asked you to submit a family fun photo, and you submitted this wonderful collage, my first collage submission, so that's amazing. Let's go ahead and take a look at that photo, and can you share with us a little bit more about what's going on and point out who's in all these photos?
All right, cool. And it brings a big smile on my face when I see this photo because this is my family. So I have you see my son, my wife, and my father-in-law, and we took a trip to Yosemite National Park, and it was just the most beautiful nature. It's just it was great just to see the mountains. There was waterfalls, big sequoia trees and redwood trees, and just it really just I knew when I was there, I was like, man, I have to figure out a way that I can spend more time with my family doing stuff like this. Right. And that actually, when I was, the interesting story about that was, when we were there, there's a really unique story. My mother-in-law believes that when you go to Yosemite, she finds like these really flat rectangular rocks, and they're really hard to find, and they find them in the river. And she says, if you can find a pretty perfectly rectangular rock, and you make a wish, and you throw it into the river, I'm sorry, no, you hold on to that rock, and you make a wish to the river that your wish will be granted. And this happened to my mother-in-law. She really, growing up, she wanted to be a successful real estate broker. And she did that. She created $1 million business. She's very successful doing what she did. And then she said, when you achieve your success, you got to go back to Yosemite and return the rock back to the river. Wow. So I had found this really unique rock, and I had made a wish. And now thinking back, I have to go return that rock because essentially my dreams did come true. And here I am today, working from home. And Ashley, I don't know if you can see behind me, but my wife is going to be joining me next week. She just left her corporate job to help out with the family business. So we're all going to be working together on this business. So yeah, it's been that's the kind of the really neat story behind that picture.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have had a lot of these photos submitted, and the first collage submission, like I mentioned, and that story, man, that's really awesome. I'm about to book a flight and head on over there. I need to get me one of those rocks, man.
Yeah, you got to Yosemite and get the special rock, Yeah.
It won't work if you email me yours, right?
No. You gotta find your own rock. It's its own special power. So.
Right. I gotta find my own rock. Awesome. Now, how do you balance between the family and the business?
Well, back in the days when I was starting this on my own, work from doing this on the side, it was tough. And it was one of those where, I kind of like told my wife, like, my goal is to build this business on, build it up to a point where we can eventually both leave our jobs. And it was tough. I'm telling you, I didn't, there was a lot of times where I said, okay, I had to dedicate the really late nights to my business. So what I did, when I did work the day shift, I would come home and then spend dinner with the family. I would have dinner with them and spend some, quality time with my son before he goes to bed. Spend some time with my wife, maybe watch some TV shows, kind of catch up on what happened in our day. And then I would stay up really late at night. Sometimes like starting at like 10 p.m. I'll work to like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. On the business, and I was just trying to like learn all this stuff as much as I can and did as much as I could. And that's kind of how I had to do it. I just find whatever free time I could and just squeeze in the day. And I really sacrificed sleep. I only slept like maybe 5 hours a night, but I was passionate about it. I knew that this is what I wanted to do. But nowadays, now that I work doing this full time, it's a little bit more easy for me to create a schedule where I can spend time with my family. As soon as they come home around 5 or 6 o'clock, it's like family time for the rest of the night, and then the rest of the day I start up. While they're at school or while my son's at school, I'm here. And so of course, back when I was doing this part time, it was tough. It was a really juggling act, but left for the sun. They knew what I was trying to accomplish, and you know, they let me do what I needed to do.
Awesome. Now, did you have any, prior to this, did you have any experience with online marketing, or you know, you just basically researching and learning as you go along through the process yourself?
Yeah, I had no experience, and it's kind of weird thinking back because, gosh, if people knew me growing up, like in high school and in college and even in my 20s, I was like the most non-techie guy. I was in the military, so I didn't believe in like text messaging. I was like anti-text messaging. This is back when phones just started having text messaging. I was like anti-text messaging. I was anti-social media. I did not have a Facebook account. And everyone was like, I think you're the only person in the world that doesn't have a Facebook account. Right. And I was so anti all of this stuff, technology. And you know, it's crazy because even last year, when I started this business, I had no social media presence. I just created my Facebook account. I just created a Twitter account. I just created all these things. And so essentially, I didn't have any experience with it. I just literally learned on as much as I could on my own. I read a lot of books. I read a lot of blogs. I listened to a lot of podcasts. I went to conferences. I bought video courses. I bought, you know, anything that I can grab my hands on and consume content and learn about it was kind of how I did it. And then I just applied trial and error. I just said I read something or I learned something. I said I'm going to try it. I don't even know if I'm doing it right, but I'm going to do something. Right. And through trial and error, making a lot of mistakes, I just kind of figured it out. It was kind of crazy now that I think about it.
Nice, nice. So this is my final icebreaker question, if you will. Besides throwing out the trash, what's one of the chores you're responsible for at home?
I actually am the dishwasher.
Dishwasher, there you go.
Yeah. She's an amazing cook. I love her, but I can't cook anything. The only thing I can cook is maybe eggs, make a bowl of cereal. So I made the deal with her. I said, okay, honey, if you do the cooking, I'll do the cleaning, right? So if you can cook some great meals for us, I'll be happy to wash the dishes all day. So that's kind of the agreement we have. And me and my son, we take turns washing the dishes, and you know, he actually helps. His chore is to take out the trash. But yeah, I'm mainly the dishwasher guy.
Awesome, awesome. Now that we know a bit more about you and what you have going on right now, and with this being Startup Dad headquarters, it's time that we start to talk about your start. I like to refer to this as the E-True Startup Dad segment of our show. One of my favorite quotes is, "The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." Now, Anthony, take us back to the beginning and share with us the initial steps of Startup Dad journey. And I know you shared a little bit of that with us already.
Yeah, so let me bring you back to, I guess, August of 2013, which was crazy. It's almost like a year ago. Yeah. So I had been doing this stuff on the side. I've been trying to figure it out, and I actually had, I don't know, like 20 different failed blogs. I was trying to figure out what was going to be my niche, what was going to be, you know, what was I going to specialize in. And the funny thing was, I couldn't decide. I had created a blog about SEO, and then I was like, I don't know if I want to just talk about SEO all the time. And I was like, I created a blog about WordPress, and then I was like, I don't know if I want to just talk about that all the time. And then I created a blog about, you know, the Insanity workout schedule, and I was just kind of like indecisive. I was just like, I don't know, and I just kept building these websites and then tearing them down. So what happened was, I was just like, gosh, you know what? I don't really know what I want to niche down, so how about I just not niche? Like, how about I go exactly opposite of what everybody's telling me? So I went broad, right? I went online marketing, training, and it was just like, because I was like, you know, if I niche down, there's so many pieces missing to the puzzle. Like, if you have a website, you're going to need email marketing, and you're going to need social media, and you're going to need video marketing. You're going to need all these components to kind of make it all work together.
Right.
So that's why I was like, well, I'm just going to create a website that shares not everything to the fine details, but enough for people to get what they need to do, the basics, so that they can have a good foundation for what they need online. Yeah. So that was kind of my idea, and I had been writing, I was working my job, and I actually transitioned to an aerospace company, and I was working, and I had this notebook. Actually, let me grab it, let me show you. This is real stuff here, right, guys? So this is, I don't see it in camera, but this is this notebook.
Yeah, yeah, we can see it. We can see it.
And I had written like all of these.
Oh,
Like,
that's a mole book, huh?
yeah, it's an old book. So, anyways, what I was doing is I was working my job,
Okay.
and during my lunchtime, I was just sitting there writing down ideas, and I was trying to like figure out this business plan that I was going to come up with. And then I kind of like really settled into like, okay, I really like this is what I'm going to do. And I was having lunch with some friends, and I was telling them about my idea. And we were even just thinking about names for the thing, how I was going to grow it, how I was going to monetize all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then I had listened to an episode of Smart Passive Income with Pat Flynn,
Yeah.
and his featured guest that day was John Lee Dumas.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard John's story, and John was like, for whatever reason, it really struck home with me because John was about the same age I was. We both went to ROTC. We were both in the military. We both had a corporate job, and then he left, and then he built this amazing business within a year time frame. And I was like, wow, this guy did it, and he's only been doing it for a year.
Right.
And I was like, wow, why can't I do it? You know, like I feel like I have the same, situation. If he'd do it, I can do it. And he was in San Diego, and I'm in Southern California, about an hour and a half away from San Diego. So I was just researching online, and I said, oh, wow, he's got this mastermind group. He's got coaching. And I was like, I need to connect with this guy. I don't know where this is going to lead me, but I know that he's on to something, and I need to connect with him.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that he said on his Smart Passive Income was he said that he hired a coach, and he hired Jamie Tardy.
Right.
I said, you know what? I want to hire John because I feel like I can connect with this guy. I want to hire him. So I applied for his Fire Nation Elite Mastermind group, and that's how we met, right? And it started like I think it was September. I had my first was introduction to the group, and during that call he said, hey, you know what? I'm having a quick meetup down in San Diego, and this was like the first time I talked to him. And he was like, I know it's totally last minute, but if you're available, why don't you come on down? It's like, dude, I am there. So I called my wife and I said, I'm heading down to San Diego. I'm gonna go meet all these other entrepreneurs and Johnny Davis. And she's like, oh, okay, I don't know who that is, but go ahead, have fun. So I went down there, and I was so inspired. I met all these members from the group, and they were all entrepreneurs or inspiring to be, creating their own businesses. And one of the guys I talked to, he said he was leaving his job. He was putting in his notice on Monday, and he was going to leave October 1st. I was like, oh, dude, that's so cool. I'm so jealous. I want to do that. And I went home that night, and I was telling my wife, like, honey, this is something I really found myself into. And I actually talked to John, and I approached him at that time. I said, hey, John, would you be willing to coach me? And he's like, I don't know. I only have, I'm really busy. I don't know if I can fit you in a schedule, but I have one guy who's about to leave in October. And yeah, okay, why not? Let's see. Yeah, I'll do it. So I told my wife, like, I have a coach. I'm in this mastermind group. Everybody's really pumped up. I want to, this is what I want to do. And she's like, well, honey, this is on Saturday. She's like, honey, you need to put in your notice then. I'm like, really?
Wow.
Like, well, shouldn't I wait till after December? She's like, no, honey, this is your opportunity. If you don't go for it, you're gonna always regret it for the rest of your life. And she's like, if you can make the finances work, if we have to borrow, take out loans, if we have to sell our house, this has been your dream. You've been working on this for a long time. You need to go after it. I said, okay, let's do it. So on Monday, I put in my 2 weeks notice, and October 1st was my first day as an entrepreneur, full time. So that's the backstory, and here, almost a year later, and yeah, it's great. And now, like I said, a year later, my wife is joining me with my business. So, bless her heart, she was the one who had enough, I guess, courage and supported me to kind of let me venture off on this unknown territory. And keep in mind, I want to share this to all dads. I had no savings. I borrowed money. I took out credit card debt. I took out whatever I could to start my business, and I didn't want to let the finances be a barrier to me following my dreams. So I just had this relentless idea of failure is not an option, and I just got to make it happen. And I didn't know how, but I knew I was going to make it happen.
Man, Anthony, that is an amazing story, man. Your wife sounds amazing. For her to just be like, hey, quit. You got to do this. You got to go full in. No half stepping. You got to take that leap and go in. And she believed in you and trusted in you so much. And with that kind of belief and trust and that kind of support, man, you can't fail. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, but keep in mind, this was like I've been kind of planting the seed for a while.
Right.
Like I was asking her like for years, like, honey, can I leave my job and start a blog? She's like, no. There was like a commercial that had that. She's like, no, you're crazy. And I'm like, but after a while, she kept seeing me like really into this stuff, and I was like creating stuff, and I was, I had like results. I got results from like a niche website. I was making some money on Google AdSense, and she saw me. I was able to generate traffic. So after a while, she kind of like started understanding what I was trying to accomplish, and her belief in me became more as more results kind of came about. But yeah, it took a lot of courage on her part, and because I wouldn't have been able to do that if she said no way, because I didn't want to put my family in a situation where it could jeopardize my marriage or our situation. But once I got the go ahead from her, like I knew that okay, I can do this because she's supporting me, and we'll figure a way to make this work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you had to say, what would be the one catalyst? With everything in life, there's always that catalyst that forces you to go beyond what you thought that was possible. In your case, what would be that one thing that really made you say, "Hey, I'm gonna do this," or I need to stop doing this, right? I need to stop this job and jump in.
Yeah. So I would say there's probably two catalysts.
Okay.
One was my wife was unhappy with her current corporate job. Same thing. She was in the same situation as was. She was working. She had to work a lot of overtime, even on Saturdays, and she was really stressed out, and she just was very unhappy. But we were stuck, right? Because the income was coming in, and we needed to pay the bills.
Yeah.
And that was like just seeing her so unhappy. It was just like a big feel for me. Like I have to step up, be a man, and figure out a way to put our family into a better situation where we can be happy. Yeah. And I think the other thing that really, propelled us, and it kind of goes back to that picture, was when we did take time and we did spend quality family time together, me, my wife, my son, and my parents or my in-laws. It was just like the happiest time of my life. Yeah. And I just said, you know what? I need to figure out a way to not only get myself out of a situation where I was unhappy, my wife out of a situation where she was unhappy, and then get us into a situation where we can do things that we actually really enjoy and very happy doing, and that's spending time together. So between all of those things and, ultimately helping other people, because I had coworkers too that were like, man, I just wish I could do something different. I want to be able to travel more. And I was like, you know what? Other people have the same problem. Other people are facing the same dilemma. And I was like, I have to create something that's not going to help me, but it's going to help hundreds and thousands of other families and people to get themselves out of a situation and put themselves into a business where they actually can enjoy, have fun, and then spend time with their family. So that's, I guess it's not just one thing, it was a culmination of things, but it was a driving force to have me do this.
Awesome. Yeah, and like I mentioned earlier, that's kind of similar driving force for me, where it's like I'm focusing on the dads and saying, listen, it's not too late. Just like your story, right? You have responsibilities. You have a wife. You have a son to take care of. You have to put food on the table, and that fear of not being able to do those things and be the man, holds a lot of dads, and I'm sure some of your coworkers who are dads holds them back, right? There's that extra excuse, if you will, or that extra fear that holds them back, and that's really what Startup Dad is about, is showcasing stories like yours to say, hey, it is possible, and here are the various ways that these dads have made it come true. So
yeah.
All right, so we're just over the halfway point of the show, and we're entering the segment that I like to call Real Dads, Real Talk. This is probably the most important segment of the show. This is where we go deep, and I ask a series of tough questions that we just can't skip over.
Oh, no.
Anthony, are you ready?
Let's do it, man. Bring it on. Oh.
Now, as a father, husband, and provider, being self-employed must at times be very scary. Can you share with us a time when failure, doubt, or fear almost made you give up and say, hey, listen, I'm going back to my crazy, 12-hour, 16-hour shift?
Yeah, I have a real story that sticks out. I think it was back in June. So what happened was I had borrowed some money to kind of keep things afloat, to keep the finances working.
Mhm.
And I had originally thought that my time frame was I was gonna borrow enough money that was gonna last me until October. So originally I was like, it's gonna last me from October to October, right? So a year to kind of get things going and start making money.
Yeah.
But like everything that when you do, there's always unexpected expenses, unexpected things that come up, and so my money depleted very quickly. It got to a point where around June was the last of the funds. So I was already like, was it, I think 4 or 5 months, like, earlier than I was expecting, right, to make things happen.
June of this year.
Yeah, recently. Yeah, June of this year. And I was just like, oh man, what am I gonna do? Like, and I was making some money here and there, but it wasn't enough to replace my income yet.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh man, what am I gonna do? Like, I'm running out of money. Like, and I started stressing out real bad because I started, wondering like, how am I gonna make this happen? Is this gonna be enough to? Am I gonna have to go back to work? Do I have to find another job? Like, or we have to sell our house? Like, all of these fears came about.
Yeah.
And what kind of, to me, I'm not trying to tell anyone to, however, their religious or spiritual beliefs, but I actually was in a point where I was like almost depressed. I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And I went to church and I prayed, and I was just asking for guidance. And there was just this voice that told me, like, you need to give freely and not ask for anything in return. Because at the time I was in this dilemma, like if I was going to charge for certain things or give it away for free.
Yeah.
And it was like a really like tough situation where I was like, what do you mean give it away for free? Like, we need money. Like, this needs to happen. Like, I don't have any more money coming in. But it was just this inner voice that just kept telling me, like, give it away for free. Just do things. Don't ask for anything in return. Just be giving. So I was like, okay, I just put faith in, and I just started giving away everything for free. I had this membership course that I was charging for. I actually canceled the membership site. I refunded all of the people that paid for it, and I gave it all away for free.
Wow.
And the amazing thing was, things started to turn around. I know it's, like most people are like, wow, this is crazy. It started to turn around. Things started happening. I started getting people reaching out to me and offering me money for services. And people were hiring me to do stuff for social media and create websites for them. And the people started hiring me for coaching. And it's just like the snowball effect. And this is the most amazing thing. And I got asked to like help introduce someone and present at Podcast Movement. And just like all these new opportunities came up, and I got invited on other people's shows. And it was just like the most amazing thing that happened. And it was the result because I started just helping people and not worrying about the money, and the money just naturally came in. It was the most weirdest thing. It's kind of like when you're young and you're trying to like find a date, like someone to date, and maybe you're single and you're like really like want to find someone to be with, and you never find that person. But the moment you stop looking, all of a sudden, like, it just happens, right? The girl of your dreams comes to your life, and it's just the weirdest thing. And I feel like that's kind of like what happened with my business. It was this huge transition point. And the past couple of months have been just amazing, to the point where now I'm able to replace my income and able to help my wife leave her job and do this full time. So yeah, that was just that was a critical point for me, where I was literally down on my knees, like praying, like, how am I going to get myself out of the situation? What am I going to do? And things turned around.
Yeah, that's awesome. And there's a quote by Will Smith that goes, just decide what it's going to be, who you're going to be, and how you're going to do it. Just decide, and then from that point, the universe is going to get out of your way. And again, not going deep into religion, I'm also Christian as well, but that quote is speaks to, I think, exactly what happened in your situation, where it's like you had to make a decision where I'm gonna just let this thing go, man. I'm just gonna give it away for free and just let things, in our case, let God work in my life. And And that's exactly what happened. That's awesome. So what was the hardest personal sacrifice you had to make along your journey?
Personal sacrifice. I think the part of the journey was in the beginning when I was working and doing this full time. I'm sorry, doing it part time on the side. There was times where I had to sacrifice spending time with my wife or son. Everything that you do, there's always pros and cons, right? If you say yes to your work or your business, you're saying no to something else, and that could be opportunity to spend time with your family, opportunity time to relax or rest. And I was, putting everything I can to make this thing happen, and it even got to a point where, because I was working so hard, I was doing this on the side. I think I even got physically. Actually, no, I was actually in the hospital because I was I don't know if it was stress or what, but I had this pinched nerve in my back, and it was causing migraines, and I couldn't walk up and down the stairs because I was in so much pain. And the doctor really couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, and I think it's just a culmination of stress. So yeah, that was probably a personal sacrifice. I had to, I put myself through the grinder to make things happen, but at the end it was all worth the effort. I'm not saying that people that should go work themselves to the point where they have to go to the hospital, but it was just something that I had been in because I was dealing with so many things. I was working this job, I was trying to figure this out. There was a lot of things going on in my life. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Anthony, one of the biggest fears and limiters keeping dads from taking action and starting their own business is private health insurance. Can you share with us what you do for coverage or some suggestions, and especially with your wife now about to leave her corporate job?
Yeah, that's a good question because we were actually discussing this recently. Previous to this, prior to my wife leaving her job, we had our health insurance under her company plan.
Right.
But recently, we've been researching some opportunities for private health insurance. So that is something that we're doing, and I was lucky enough to have coverage from being a military veteran. So I have my veteran health affairs covering me myself, but so we're just getting private health insurance for my wife and my son. Okay. And that's what it really comes down to. And we just have to spend it. But then the thing is, most people are like, oh man, I have to pay for private health insurance. But the thing is, we've always been paying for it. You just don't see it because it was taken out of your paycheck before you got it.
Right.
It would feel like you were paying for health insurance if they gave you a paycheck, and then you had to pay for it afterwards.
Right.
Right. So we have all paid for health insurance in one way or another. It just feels different when you have to pay after the fact. But yeah, so we just gonna have to get private health insurance, which is great. Take care of the family, everyone's safe, and we're gonna move on.
Yeah, exactly, and it's similar to life insurance, getting life insurance outside of your job, right? You pay it after you've gotten your paycheck, whereas opposed to the life insurance within the company is a little bit, it comes out directly. So yeah. Cool. If you had to do it all over again, would you, and why?
Yes. I mean, it's all a journey, right? The thing is, you wonder it's all hindsight. Oh man, if I did this, it would have been so much easier. But the reality is, I wouldn't be in the situation I am today if I didn't go through every single lesson along the way, good or bad.
Yeah.
Because every situation that was a bad situation, I learned from, right? And it made me better, or made me learn this important lesson that I needed to learn. So would I do it all over again? Absolutely. I mean, I always believe don't live life without regrets. I know that if I didn't take the leap and go for it, I would always grow wondering, man, what would have happened? What could have happened if I didn't take the leap? What would have happened, right?
Yeah.
And I would always live with that regret. And I didn't want to live with that regret. And I always told myself, the worst case that could happen is if I leave and it doesn't work out, guess what? I just go find another job.
Right.
That's the worst thing that could happen. But that wasn't really an option for me because I always felt like failure is not an option. If I'm going to go for it, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to figure out a way to make it happen. Right. So that wasn't really an option for me, but but the reality is it is an option for people. The worst case scenario is you go for it and it doesn't work out, you go back you find another career. That's not a big deal. Like a lot of people create small businesses, and for whatever reason, if it doesn't work out, they end up going back, finding another career. Life doesn't end, right? You figure out a way to survive.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so we're at the final segment of the show. I like to call this the rapid fire handyman segment. This is where we quickly reach into your toolbox and you provide the Startup Dad community with some really useful tools. Are you ready to rock?
Let's do it.
All right. What is your #1 time management hack or tool?
Time management hack or tool. Honestly, I just use Outlook. Outlook is great. It syncs up with my Google Calendar, and I have all of my calendars synced up to Outlook, and it helps me manage my schedule on a day-to-day basis. I have literally time slots for every little task that I do, whether it's to be on an interview, to do a podcast recording, whether it's editing time or time to work on a client's project, or to even, as simple as something as like pick up my son from school. Like it's in my calendar, pick up Tyler from school, 3 o'clock. Like, that helps me stay organized. And so Outlook was my time hack tool, I guess.
Nice. What's one way you manage your health? My
health?
Yeah.
So one of the things I started doing recently is every single morning I would go out for a walk for like at least 30 minutes a day, maybe if not at least 45. So one thing, it helps me with two things. It kind of gets me out of bed and kind of like gets the blood flowing and just clears my mind. It's kind of like warming up a car, right? You don't want to just start turning on a car and go. Right. So I don't, now that I work from home, it's like I didn't want to just roll out of bed and go to my office and then try to function. I'll be groggy. So I said, okay, I'm gonna just go to walk, get my blood flowing, my muscles warmed up, my brain clear, and actually it's one of the best things I could do because I get a lot of ideas as I'm going on this walk. And actually another thing that we're gonna end up doing is once my wife leaves her job at the end of this week, we're gonna start going to the gym and helping each other stay fit, because for me personally, being an online entrepreneur, I end up sitting at this chair for many hours a day, so I need to force myself to get out and get some exercise.
Nice. What's one book every startup dad should absolutely read?
Startup, I would say Launch is a really great book.
Mike Stelzner.
Mike Stelzner, yeah, absolutely. That was a book that I read before I launched my business. There was a lot of great takeaways, a lot of valuable advice in that book. So, and it's applicable to any business really, because a lot of it talks about leveraging relationships, finding people to be your advocates and help promote your brand. And yeah, there's a lot of great takeaways in that book. So any startup that should definitely check it out.
Awesome. Anthony, this has been an interview, and you shared with us your wonderful journey. And I know a lot of startup dads will resonate with your journey and what you have going on right now. My final question is a little long, but it always produces a really powerful answer. And here it is. On the other side of this broadcast is a startup dad who at this point is fired up and ready to go. But as soon as the broadcast is over, he will put down his mobile device and life is going to happen. And by next back into the day-to-day minutia of things. What would you say to that dad to inspire him beyond this broadcast?
Well, that's the thing too, is I always tell people take massive action. You just spent this time out of your day to listen to this show. Hopefully you got a lot of great takeaways, but the thing is, all of that information doesn't really help you unless you do something that's going to be applied to what you have in your situation. Whether it's if you want to start an online business, whether it's to create that blog, whether it's to start that podcast, whether it's to even just simply write down your ideas in a journal, because it's amazing. Everything that I've written down has come true. And I think it's just this mental shift where when you write it down and it's a goal, you always reflect back at it and you go, gosh, I have to keep going until I hit this goal. So don't let the things in life happen where you don't follow your dreams, because it can be a reality. I'm no different than you. Seriously, the only difference is I just I just took action, and I just had this relentless pursuit, and I didn't let anything get in the way. I didn't let money get in the way. I didn't let fear get in the way. I didn't let anything get in the way. I just said, I need to make this happen for my family. You know, for you, you're probably in a situation where you need to make it happen for your family. So if it's not for yourself, then do it for someone else, like your family or people that you want to inspire. So yeah, that will definitely keep you going.
Yeah, and you know, what you just said is right on. And when I think about when you started, and you know, I'm sure, just like you, my journey started probably years ago, where we were reading and we were listening to podcasts and stuff. And then around October time frame, I think we both joined the same mastermind group at the same time, and watching you basically take massive action, and you know, from where you were then to where you are now, and to the point where you've already, you know, quit your corporate job, and I'm still working my 9 to 5. Man, you really are inspiring, and inspiring to me as well. So you definitely live up to what you say in terms of taking massive action and making things happen. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Anthony, thank you for your time, for sharing your Startup Dad journey, and truly an inspiring episode. Please take a moment and share any final words, and then we'll say goodbye.
Just you know, I already said it. It's just follow your dreams. Do it for your family. Do it for yourself, and don't let anything get in the way. Like I always tell people, failure is not an option.
Nice.
You just got to go. And once you make up that decision in your mind that nothing's going to stop you, I'm telling you, you can accomplish anything.
Awesome. And we can find you at marketingaccesspass.com.
That's right. Yeah, I have everything, all of my contact information, even the phone number that you can reach me at marketingaccesspass.com. I'm highly accessible. You can reach me out, social media. I respond pretty quickly. So.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Joel. Appreciate it.
Hey Startup Dads, take the next step right now and download your free guide called 9 Apps Every Startup Dad Should Have in His Toolbox. It's only available at StartupDadHQ.com/free gift. Again, that's StartupDadHQ.com/free gift. So go download it now, and we'll see you next time on Startup Dad HQ.
Hey, Anthony. Oh.
Hey.
Let me turn that off. Oh, okay, there we go. Cool. Thank you, man. That was an awesome